Hello Sea Wolves and welcome back to the show. Another 24 hours of racing have passed and absolutely everybody in the fleet is in good winds right now. So we have 39 boats cruising at high speeds. Everybody's very happily cruising along today. The St. Helena High has kind of moved up, so everybody has a good passage now to the Cape, it looks like. In short, a very good day for the race. There is some trouble brewing, like I said yesterday, some strong winds coming up. So we're going to talk much more in detail about that today. But of course, before we start with that, I have some delicious, actually let me top this up a little bit, fresh afternoon coffee in here. I hope you have something delicious in your possibly official Sea Wolf mug, supporting the channel, very good. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, cheers Wolves.
Il arrive. Il arrive. Et là, voilà. On va prendre des risques. Et voilà. Là. Oh, oh ma mère. Là. Hop. Voilà, je vous fais pas les images de l'avant, hein, parce que ça, si c'est pas de la... Ça y a combien là 47 nœuds. Waouh. Avec de la grêle. Ah bah voilà mon projet, je t'aurai des images de mer. Et voilà, j'espère que ça va passer ce truc là, parce que putain... Voilà, la mer elle est marbrée. Et donc ça fume. Waouh. Oh les bons pépés. Ça c'est voilà. Et je rigole pas non plus. Alors je vais quand même. Voilà, on a hâte que ça se passe. Là. Voilà. Bon, on en fera pas plus, hein. Allez, à plus.
Yeah, so that was actually shot by Jean Lecam, Leroy Jean, not in the previous Vendeglobe, but actually the Vendeglobe even before that. I think it was 2012. The reason that they're kind of special is that it really was kind of one of the first times that a skipper on board with a good camera shot some extended, nice looking, kind of high resolution footage of the meaner side of the Southern Ocean on an IMOCA during the Vendee. So it wasn't like a full storm, but the sea states were pretty good. There was a lot of wind, and you could see kind of the violence and what it was doing to his ship, and it kind of gives a good indication of what the leaders, I mean, they're all of the ships are gonna get into this type of situations more or less semi-permanently for the next like 5 weeks, maybe more, 6 weeks. But yeah, just for those who are new to the channel, to give you a bit of an idea of what we're about to move into.
Belle journée, voilà. Et ben cette balise va aller faire son petit voyage. Allez. Ciao, petite balise. Va faire ton boulot. Moi aussi. Et ben moi je vais empanner. Wouhou. C'est assez beau ici, il fait frais la nuit, la journée, c'est pas trop mauvais. Hein. Ça commence à tomber sous les 10 degrés.
And yeah, to just start right away with kind of the good and bad news of the very strong winds that are coming. Join me here, let's take a look and let's dive into this. So, what is going on and what is this major challenge that is kind of going on right now? Well, you can see here on my screen kind of the islands. So you see here Prince Edward Island and Pig Island and Possession Island. And if we roughly check out the distance, then an IMOCA sort of in a day makes a distance that's something like this, so it's like that's sort of 2 days, 3 days. Now this depends a bit on speed, and the speed variation is high, right? If you're going 10 knots or 20, it's double the distance. So it could be that they could go as far as like this in a day or this in a day. So, you know, we have to kind of work with a bit of some guesses. But in general, you could say that over the next like 2-3 days, they're going to be moving through kind of this area in general, right? So that's kind of important to know. Now, if for the weather we hop into Windy here, because it gives a bit more overview, we can see kind of the same situation. Let me switch to wind here, by the way. And this is the situation now. So you see the kind of the same thing as you saw on the other tracker. The leader sort of hanging around the ice gate. For some reason, the ice gate is not exactly correct here in the Windy tracker. So maybe they need to update like the Vendeglobe tracker. But you can see the islands here all the same. So we have that same distance that they're going to have to cross till about like here, let's say, in the next 3 days. Now, if we fast forward time, so if you go about a day ahead, nothing much there, but if we hit 2 days, then you start to see here the problem that's coming in, because we're getting a low, but usually the lows are coming like from low and they're going, you know, up. So they're coming sort of from the south and moving up. However, we have a bit of, you know, it's not like super unusual or anything, but it's like a bit more special. We have a low that's actually coming down, sort of coming from the north and coming through, and it's going to stay if you go that's second and a half day ahead, going to get very strong, and it's slowly sort of going, and as you can see, it's right in the path, because this is what they're going to be, you know, sailing for the next like 2-3 days roughly. And as you can see, somewhere around, you know, 2.5 days from now, so they'll be maybe somewhere here or so, this is going to be rolling through, and it's not going to get any, you know, better as it rolls through, as you can see, right? It's just going to stay very strong if we run in through it here like front and back. So they have to kind of find their way through it. And the added sort of problem with this particular system, why it's a little bit, you know, special as far as how it's coming through, is if we go to the moment here, let's say, so Wednesday morning, when we have a first like really good picture, this is the wind picture. But if we take the wind gusts picture, so a bit more of a maximum prediction, I used this in the thumbnail also yesterday, we see that we're getting gusts, you know, well up to 56 knots and more. And with ocean predictions like this, just for kind of safety, you always want to take 5 or 6 knots over what the maximum prediction is, just for good measure. So if these are gusts that are into the 60 knots range, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if I was sailing there. And 60 knots is pretty severe. That's a full-on gales, full-on storm. Those are massive conditions. And you can see that the distance here, so from the ice gates to kind of where it ends, this is about maybe 2 days sailing as far as like distance goes, right? So if they wanted to avoid this, if the leaders were to decide like right now, like, okay, we want to like sort of stay out of the worst of it, and we'd like to sort of skate around here, which is what they usually would do, because that system, more in general, again, it's nature, it's not a rule, there are no set patterns in nature, it's just kind of, you know, general balance that it follows. In general, a system like this would be a bit lower, so only maybe half of it would kind of stick out of the ice gate here, and it would be easier to take this sort of nice line where you have strong winds, bigger sea state, but that's okay, the boats can handle that. And it's just a beautiful, that's what you want, right? That's why we're sailing here. It's a sailing paradise, nice seas, big waves, but long waves, and nice wind to make, you know, speed records and to do some amazing sailing. However, this particular line, not so pleasant. 60 knots, massive waves probably, that can really get quite unpleasant. And since we're at about 25% of the race now, so we still have 75% to go, you know, in order to finish first, you first have to finish. Golden rule is to keep your boat in one piece. That's the most important thing. So right now, the thinking in the front of the fleet very much is all about what do we do? Do we go more up through here? Do we stay very close to the ice line? Because you can see that's like a little bit more or less as it goes through. I'll scroll by the way forward so you can see a bit more how this moves, right? So you can see it's really truly, if I zoom out also, like it's very, very massive. You can see the second one coming behind there also, although that's a little bit lower. But yeah, you can see that it's very much then moving down, right? And the second one's coming through less focused. It's a bit more sort of what you would expect in this area. But especially kind of Wednesday to Thursday, yeah, this is just a very large area of very high winds. And because of the just enormous size of this, there really isn't much in the sense of a way around this. So yeah, it's just like they can't possibly get high enough, far enough to really stay out of the way. So they're gonna have to find their way kind of sort of somewhere through the middle of it, find kind of a good path through, but it looks like a very strong system. So this is something that is at this point more or less unavoidable, and it's going to be a first trial. So again, I doubt that we'll get much images of it, because this is the type of weather where they generally are not going to have much time or desire to do any filming. So we'll see. If any of them actually has the time, we could get some of the first, like, absolutely most spectacular images of the race so far. So I hope that some of them will have a moment to spare somewhere in between all the madness to actually show us what it looks like.
I just saw the first albatross so elegantly sliding and gliding along the waves. Fantastic.
But it's definitely going to be exciting. So we have to wait still for like a day and a half too before they really get into it. But just so we're all aware, that's what everybody in the front is now kind of navigating on, thinking about and anticipating towards. Okay, well, let's move to the situation now, and let me go to just a normal wind situation again. Because like I said at the head of the show, we can see that actually all of the other boats now just in general in nice wind. So we're seeing nice speed, 17, 18, 19 knots. VMGs of around 17, 18, more or less for everybody. Also in the back, so the non-foilers doing nice speeds, 13, 14, 15 knots. You know, general sort of like 2, 3, sometimes 4 knots on average slower than most of the foilers, but doing very nicely. Also some higher ones, so we see Lewis Burton, for example, very high speeds, 22 knots right now. Pip is doing 17.5. We have, I think, where's Isabel Joschke doing also 20.8. So the direction is not really ideal for most of them. And so the VMGs you can see are very much lower. So I see here Samantha Davis, for example, doing in the last half hour speeds of 24.8 knots, but a VMG of 15. So yeah, just goes to show that when you don't have like the ideal course moving towards the next waypoint, you know, then even a very high speed like that can have a much significantly lower VMG. But the rest of the fleet doing very well. Quick update on Conrad Coleman. As of right now, still no video, because I guess he's still out of power. And what I did here is that it also affected his autopilot. So I don't know if it's like on, if he's hand steering, or you know what exactly is going on there. Anxiously waiting, but so far no concrete news other than that he's still trying to work the problem. So we'll hear from him when we hear from him, I guess. But his boat, at least for now, sailing good. He's doing 16 knots for the last 30 minutes. 24-hour was a bit low, 11 knots, but his current VMG also 15.6, so pretty close to optimal for him, and he's in good speed, sailing nicely. And all the way in the back, Zabo, also doing nice speeds, about 10.8 knots right now in 10 knots of wind, so he's doing a good speed for kind of the weather that he has, as he's sort of the last to get past Brazil and South America and actually move towards navigating the Sindelina High for him. But so far it looks like he's got a good path through there near the coast, and then he'll be able to kind of move through here on the, oh, let me actually activate this. Then you can kind of move through here on the low side and sort of make his way similar to what the back of the fleet is doing. So that's it for the show today. Now, originally I told you all that we do the question show on Monday, tomorrow, but tomorrow I happen to be traveling, so we have a little bit of a different show. There is a show, so don't worry, and it's going to actually be a very interesting one, but the questions we'll do on Tuesday, because then I'm going to be back here, so we have more time to get into everything, so that's good to know. Well, I guess that was it for the show today. Hope you enjoyed. Of course, make sure to please like, very important. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share the videos with people, friends that you might think have an interest. And thank you all for watching, for your support. And see you in 24 hours. Ciao, ciao.